Hello, everybody. I am Christian Booher with the Big Rapids Radio Network, and I am joined by Reed City High School football coach Scott Shankel. The Coyotes finished the season 9-1 this year. They have unfortunately had to see their season end a little bit prematurely due to a forfeit this week against Freeland, wrapping up their season, but they were 8-0 in games that they played this season. Coach Shankel, how are you tonight?
Doing great. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. We're going to go ahead and jump right into this one. Obviously, a condensed year this year for the Coyotes, along with everybody else in the MHSAA due to the coronavirus pandemic. The Coyotes opened the season at Chippewa Hills, and they were winners in game one, 46-26 over the Warriors. A little bit of a sluggish start to this one. They were trailing at halftime, but in the second half, just an all-out dominant performance. And one guy that really stood out to me was Landon Tomaski, a senior who really hadn't had all the opportunities in his first couple of years with Reed City. You know, a lot of good backs coming through the program. But in this one, Landon really showed his skill. He forced a fumble, had a couple of touchdowns. I believe he had a punt return touchdown. Is that correct? Coach Shankel, what were your thoughts on the game and Landon's performance?
Well, I coming out in that game, you know, you're always worried your first game of the year. This year, even more especially because we only had like a couple weeks of practice and we didn't have a scrimmage. So, you know, you kind of don't get a chance to evaluate your kids against other kids. So we definitely came out sluggish. Chip Hills is a good team. I mean, they got strong as the year went on. They have some great athletes over there, and they put it to us. Thankfully, we won the turnover battle in that game. And if I remember right, we had a big touchdown right before halftime to go down 20-16 right at halftime. And that kind of helped us lead into the second half. And yeah, Landon had one heck of a game. I think he broke it open with a big old punt return somewhere in that third quarter. And then he had another big run later in that half. But I give credit to our kids. They could have put their heads down and made all kinds of excuses, but they kept fighting, and you know, we were fortunate enough to come out with a win. But you know, that first week I look back at everything and go, that was like a scrimmage in ways for every team that in the state that week. So
right, and it was the start,
you know, working out the bugs a little bit, you know, trying to figure a few things out. So
absolutely, working out the bugs indeed. And it was new for me as well, being in a football game, a Friday night where the stands were less than half full. And that's just not something you see in this area. So just a sign of the times. And then moving forward, you come home for your home opener, rivalry matchup with Big Rapids. And really what stuck out to me was the defense in this one. Teddy Cross, the big man, touchdown. You know, Landon reels off a big run on your guys' first offensive play. Just a thorough, at least for the first three quarters, in my opinion, a thorough, dominant performance over a rival.
Yeah, our kids, you know, they came into that game ready to go. I think they had a little bit of chip on their shoulder because they knew they could have played better from the week before. So people were, you know, kind of questioning how good we were. And we wanted to make a great, strong statement, you know, home opener game, and especially against Big Rapids, like you're saying. And, you know, if I'm correct, I believe they got the ball. We forced a punt, and then Landon took one to the house on the very next play, and then their very next offensive play, Teddy Cross, as you mentioned, stripped the ball, picked it up, and took it another, you know, 30 yards into the score. So before they knew it, they were down 14-16 nothing, and our kids were rolling from there. And I think we kind of shell-shocked them a little bit, caught them off guard because we came out fast and strong in that game. And that was one of the better games we played on both sides of the ball all year long. You know, we put everything together really well in that game. So very pleased with the effort, especially going against a big rival. It made it even special.
Right. Moving forward, you go on the road to Central Mont, a good Central Mont team. They reel off a big touchdown on their opening drive. You're playing in what felt like a monsoon at times. You really had to go through a lot of adversity in that game. You had Landon get thrown out late in the first half for what some, you know, may dispute as it was just going back and forth with the kid, and Landon kind of retaliated, and he was the one that got busted. But in the end of the day, you had a lot of kids step up in big moments. Xavier Allen played quarterback almost the entire second half. Noah Jones with a couple of big runs in the second half. Just a lot of guys stepping up. What did you learn about your team in that game, having to play through all that adversity?
A lot of toughness. You know, that's one thing you want to see out of your kids. guys stepping in roles and, you know, taking it on and not missing a beat with it. So if I remember right, that game, they had 2 big plays on us, and both of them for scores. Other than that, our defense played lights out, and we had a kid who hurt his ankle in Peyton Hansen the week before against Big Rapids, and we didn't know if he was going to play, and he played defense on one side of the ball, and he played a great game defensively for us. He was making plays on one leg pretty much, and then like you said, Landon got tossed, and actually Noah Jones came in and ended up taking a shot to the throat and hurting himself because he couldn't play the next week, but he finished that game and had pretty good numbers, a couple big runs. Isaac Williams also got hurt in that game. He played one way after he hurt his thumb and couldn't take snaps. So then Xavier stepped in, and I think he threw a big touchdown pass to Noah at the end of the game to kind of seal the deal. But, you know, we approached that game as kind of a league championship game because, you know, they were defending champs last year. We did beat them last year, but we lost the game at the end of the year before to not be on top of the CSAA. So our kids were geared up to make sure that they were going to separate themselves from the league champ from the year before. So they came ready to play.
Absolutely. And then speaking of coming ready to play, you guys come home against Newaygo, and I don't know if I've ever seen that many points in a high school game before. A 70-40 win. You know, you guys go back and forth almost every possession, somebody scoring in the first half. I believe Newaygo took a 1-point lead with about a minute to go in the first half, and then Landon runs back the ensuing kickoff. And from that point on, it was all Reed City. Another game where you just probably learned quite a bit, at least about your offense. What stuck out to you in that game?
Well, first of all, calling the defense, I fired myself probably about 6 times in the first half because it was kind of tough, and it wasn't that we were in bad spots. We were making bad decisions. Our defensive game plan was fine. It's just, you know, we were making we just made some bad reads, and they took advantage of it, and we weren't tackling well. And hats off to Newaygo because they did have some offensive weapons in that game, and you know, they had them all year long, but we had a bad second quarter. But offensively, I mean, those guys kept it rolling the whole game, and it was a slugfest. I think we put up second most yards in a game in state history there with 646 combined on the ground on, like, I think 60 carries or something like that. I can't remember how many carries, but I mean, our offensive line, man, hats off to those guys because they were moving people all night long. And I know guys like Landon and Noah and Peyton and Alex Wergo were loving running behind those guys that night because there was openings that, you know, you don't get every week. So, yeah, the kickoff before halftime was a huge bonus going into halftime. And then at halftime, we kind of settled down and refocused and talked about, let's just play some solid defense, get some stops, and just keep rolling. And fortunate enough, we were able to come out, you know, in that back and forth battle on top. So
absolutely. What a game that was. About 100, or it was 110 points total between the two teams. Just an all-out battle. The next week, you guys go to Fremont, and you win there pretty handily. Another one where you guys defensively just really locked it up. Fremont had a good week the week before against Chippewa Hills. They come out, they try to spread you guys out, and your secondary plays well against their pass. You know, you're getting pass rush. Guys like Joe Schuin and Teddy and Chaz Davis putting pressure on the quarterback all night long. An all-out good defensive effort. What did you think about your defense in that game?
Oh, they came out ready to play. I believe they had the quarterback there he was a pretty good weapon at Fremont. Had a good week before and a couple weeks before, and we wanted to contain him on the run as much as possible because he was a big-bodied kid, and we knew he could throw, so we wanted to put our kids in the best coverage as possible. And our DBs and our defense stepped up. I believe Peyton Hansen had a pick 6 in that game, and I'm pretty sure Seth Jackson, who blew a coverage early but made up for it on one later and had another pick in that game. So, you know, like you said, the front line had pressure all day, and one of our other linebackers there, Alex Wergo, was coming downhill and closing gaps up pretty good for us. So it was a great defensive game for us again.
And then your regular season finale the following week against Grant, another battle, another game where you've got some tough weather to play through. Guys were, it was just hitting for, fourth quarters, guys battling. Grant, you score to take a 8-point lead late. Grant gets the ball back. Seth Jackson with an interception. He returns it for a touchdown. And then what was it? They're following offensive play. He picks off another pass. So Seth was the guy that stood out in this one. Still just a sophomore. What has Seth meant to this team, especially defensively?
Well, he was up last year as a freshman. He played more offensively than he did defensively. And we knew coming into this year he was going to have to anchor our secondary because, he's something special back there. So he makes great reads on everything, and he did that all year long. In all reality, I think he had 5 picks on the year, but there was Newaygo. He had kind of a flag that's questionable on one, and then against Central Mont, he had a very quiet. So he easily could have had 7 or 8 picks on the year, but he just always seemed to be in the right spot at the right time because he just ball savvy and he likes to go make plays. So when that ball was up in the air and it came down in his hands, I had a feeling that he was going to come away with it. And I think, like you said, he had back-to-back possessions where he had picks. But Grant was a tough team, and they had a tough road because they got hit by the COVID bug early. And I knew that game was going to be a battle, and it was back and forth. And I think we finally separated ourselves. And once again, that was another game where I thought we played really well defensively. We gave up some. I think we had a couple bad snaps on punts and kind of set up a couple scores where they didn't have to go far. But other than that, our defense was lights out again that game. And as all year long, I mean, the first 6 games or more, all season, our offense was rolling. I mean, we had a great balance in the backfield. Our offensive line was gelling, and I mean, we were rolling offensively up front too. So just nice way to put it together at the end of the years.
And that was a kind of a bounce back game for you guys because last year you lost a tight one to Grant. So how did it feel for you and your team to be able to lock up the conference title at home against the group that knocked you guys off last year?
It's always a great feeling to win a conference title. It doesn't matter where it's at. I mean, we've been fortunate enough in the last 10 years to win 9 of those. And, last year we feel like we let one slip away from us because we had our opportunities. We, like you said, Grant beat us early on when we had our opportunities to win that game, and then Newaygo at the end of the year beat us, and we had our opportunities to win that game too, and just kind of let it slip through. So our seniors' goal was to kind of get back on top and win a conference title and get us going into the 2020 year with that. So I'm proud of those kids, and yeah, it's even specialer when you can do it in front of the home crowd, whether it's 250, 2,000, whatever it is. It's always nice to win at home, especially conference title.
Right. And then week 1 of the playoffs, you guys beat up on Sheboygan pretty bad. And then you take on a good Kingsford team. The thing that stood to me about Kingsford was their size. Big guys all over the field. And outside of about as bad of a start as you can imagine, they marched down for the touchdown, then you guys fumbled the kickoff. You guys played pretty solid. And especially in the second half, you guys were able to roll them. What stood out to you about that playoff game and how you guys were able to knock off a team that maybe on paper was a little bit bigger than you guys?
Well, we knew going into it they had size advantage on us. We felt like we had the speed advantage on them, so if we could get our guys loose, especially Noah Jones, who had a great game in that game. Offensively, just getting people running behind them. Behind the offensive line, we had a sophomore by the name of Caden Burgess step in for one of our offensive starters all year, and Dylan Scheibel, and did a great job on the right side. And Noah was able to, either run behind him or Landon was able to run behind him. Our trap game kind of opened up between Alex and Peyton again. I think we capped the game off with a big play to Joe Schuin on a 3rd down and boot play, and I think Seth Jackson had a huge touchdown catch in that game too to start us out. But yeah, you're right. We started slow. I think some of it was nerves. I think some of it was playing on Saturday in the afternoon. We can look at those and maybe say that was the issue. But, Kingsford was a good team. And, we told them all week long, we got to play our A game. This is playoffs. There's no do-overs. And we want to make sure we take care of business. And, like you said, we started out slow, but as the game went on, we took control, and, once again, a few bad plays defensively, but other than that, the defense rose to the occasion again.
Right. And then with all the circumstances, that ends up being your guys' final time taking the field this season. You look at, the all conference team, even the all state team, Division 5 and 6, you've got guys all over those teams, especially your senior class, your linebackers and Peyton and Alex, Teddy Cross, Joe Schuin was another all conference guy. He's been, about as, solid contributor, Landon, Noah, all those guys. A bunch of your seniors were recognized for their performances this year. What are you going to remember most about this group?
Well, I'm going to remember the 2020 class because of what they had to go through. I mean, we go back to August and we get the call saying you're shut down after 4 days of practice. I remember taking a picture with those 8 seniors that we had at that time, and just kind of looking at them going, they're going to try playing in the spring, but there's no guarantees with this. And I don't know what's going to happen, but my fingers are going to be crossed that you guys get a chance to play your senior year. And that's all I can ask for. And, we got the call 3 weeks later. And fortunately, at that time we had a couple kids, one of them being Noah Jones was playing soccer at that time because he wanted to play athletics. And he's like, yeah, I'm coming back to football. So, I appreciate that group and all, because, they could have easily been, down and out with it and upset, but they geared back up and they wanted to go compete, and they wanted to continue to keep the tradition going in Reed City and keep it rolling. And just, great group of kids, good athletes, very committed. One kid we haven't mentioned as a senior is also in all conference, was Chaz Davis.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of tire flipping in the summer, and I think he sleeps with tires because he just loves flipping them. So the work commitment that they put in was great, and the results showed for itself. So.
Yeah, and then looking ahead to next year, you're going to have some newcomers. Obviously, you're going to lose, I believe, everybody in the backfield, and Alex, Peyton, Noah, and Landon. But you're going to return both your quarterbacks. Seth Jackson coming back at wide receiver. Blake Daggy saw some time out there as well. And then you've got some young guys on the offensive and defensive lines as well. So some good talented pieces coming back. Who are you looking forward to next year? And maybe see even some of the guys on JV that the fans can watch out for next year.
You want to see the growth every year from these kids. And, we got some juniors coming back that are pretty talented. Obviously the sophomores that were up, we had 4 sophomores up this year, and I'm not even counting Seth. Seth's a sophomore and he was number 5, but he was up his freshman year. We had Xavier, we had Caden Burgess, we had Kyle Kersan, and we had, who's my other one I'm thinking of here? Maybe it is Seth that I'm thinking of. So, but we had those kids up, and, we're looking forward to them getting better. And then some of those JV kids, our JV team had a strong output. We got, between the sophomore and freshman class. So, I'm always interested to see who's willing to put the work in and the time in and, sacrifice a few things to put towards the program and, keep us rolling in the right way. So that's what I look forward to, is seeing who's going to make that commitment. But, we're losing a lot in the backfield, but we got a good nucleus coming back that makes me feel pretty happy about what we got going. So.
Yeah, and then kind of to wrap everything up, when you look back down the road at this 2020 season and everything you and your team had to go through, what are you going to remember most?
Just being able to play, I guess, 8 games. That's what I was asked this week was, it's unfortunate how you ended. I said, yeah, we ended on a sour note, but at the same time, all the positives that happened, and the biggest positive is, they got to play games, where some school districts decided they weren't going to let their schools play, and they didn't get to play any this year. And that's rough for kids that are especially seniors, or not even seniors, juniors. I mean, those are games you don't get back. In football, you're only guaranteed 32 games, and those are not even guaranteed. So, to get what we did, thrilled, to win a conference title and to do what our kids did. I couldn't be happier with this group. with the toughness and resiliency and, you know, adversity that they faced all year long. I mean, it was definitely a roller coaster ride. I mean, starting from the summer, just, you know, are we doing it? It just all year long, there was a cloud hanging over your head, not knowing if it was going to be pulled on you or not. And the kids, you know, kind of put that aside when we went to practice and games and didn't think about it, because that's all we talked about is there's no guarantee tomorrow. So every Friday, that was kind of the echo thing. This could be the last game. Let's put our best game forward. You know, unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to get out there week 9 or week 10 and play those last games, if those were the last games we were going to play. But, you know, like I said, they got 8 games in beforehand, and, you know, I'm more than thrilled that they got that in. And I think when they look back on it, they'll remember it. So they won't forget it. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I have been Christian Booher. We've talked with Reed City head coach Scott Shankel. You can look forward to him leading the Coyotes in 2021, where we hope it is a full 9-game slate. Coach Shankel, thank you so much for taking some of your time out of your night to talk with me. For Big Rapids Radio Network, I'm Christian Booher. Thanks for listening.